All right, here we go. Michael Jai White, welcome back.
Yep, almost didn't make it.
Almost didn't make it.
Well, I've been almost was late because my I took a car that I don't normally drive, and it did not start. And that was like about 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
And so I thought I was going to have to ride my bike up here, but
right,
turns out my little Charger had enough juice to jump the battery, and I got here. But it's being charged in your office back there.
Okay.
Just
That's
so
what's
I can
up.
get back home.
That's what's up. Well, let's talk about the boxing world for a second. Jake Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was going back and forth with Conor McGregor.
With Conor McGregor?
They're like beefing online.
Really?
Yes. Do you see the two of them actually getting to the ring?
No.
Why not? Is that size difference?
Well, Jake Paul is much bigger, but Conor McGregor's skill level is just way up there. It wouldn't be a situation like he's had with, even though the size difference is pretty tremendous. But Conor's movement is extraordinary. I don't think that would fare Jake Paul very well.
Which about boxing or MMA?
Both.
Okay, well, I mean, because Jake Paul doesn't do MMA.
Mm-hmm. No, so this would be boxing.
It would be boxing, right? But then we saw his brother fight Mayweather and lose.
Right.
Now, Mayweather beat McGregor.
Well,
so, there are some comparisons, real world comparisons here. I mean, Jake and Logan aren't the same person, but they are somewhat similar in size and skill level and so forth.
Yeah, but now Jake is a little shorter.
Yeah.
Right? Conor McGregor is bigger than Mayweather by quite a bit. Conor McGregor could walk around at 190.
So he's almost a heavyweight.
He can. His movement, and if he's only boxing, Conor McGregor, his left hand, there's things that he does that are way superior than most of the MMA fighters that he's fighting. His movement, his footwork is unusual. So no, I can't see. Jake will have a hell of a hard time. And I have a philosophy on, there's a certain point where the weights are getting similar. Then the big guy is just a big ass target that you can't miss. You know what I'm saying? Especially when somebody like Conor his movement and his impact power, that kind of makes up the difference. Because I know Jake can hit hard. He's got good leverage, but I don't think he's hitting Conor clean, and I don't think Conor can miss him. Because I don't see Jake having superior defensive skills. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the big guys don't work on that, which is a big problem. And Conor's faster. His left hand is a weapon. You know what's a real weapon is if I could tell you what I'm going to hit you with and then hit you with it. You know what I'm saying? So with Conor's left, is there somebody he's not going to catch with that?
Mayweather.
True. Oh, because Mayweather. Now we're talking about the greatest boxer, and in my opinion, the greatest boxer, skill-wise, who ever lived. So, I mean, Mayweather's another story.
So Jake went online, and he's basically comparing fighting McGregor and Nate Diaz, right? And he said, I think Conor would be a tougher opponent just because of experience in the ring with Floyd. He's definitely a better striker, and Nate gets hit a lot more.
This is absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, and Nate is formidable for other reasons because he's durable as hell, But it wouldn't be good for Nate to fight Jake because Jake is a much bigger guy, and Nate gets hit.
Yeah, I mean, Nate actually responded to Jake Paul. He said he just knows that I'm the money fight where he'll make the most amount of money. A lot of these guys know that, and they just want to let it out. They want to be let out of their contract so they can get that big payday.
Right. Who could blame them, really?
Yeah. You know, we'll see what happens. I mean, I would love to see McGregor and Jake Paul in the ring.
I'd love to see that too, because it starts to balance out. You know,
Yeah.
Jake is bigger, so that's an advantage. But Conor, man, Conor doesn't even have to kick or grapple. So all he has to do is box. That's interesting, because I wonder if their reach is might be similar.
No, I mean, McGregor's a lot shorter, right?
Yeah, but his
He's
arm
got
reach,
those long
yes.
orangutan arms, like.
yeah, and he knows, he's one of those few people in MMA who knows how to square up and knows where his leverage is and where his power is. If you look at when McGregor fights what's his name? He was a champion. Damn, I forget the guy's name. But one of the greatest knockouts is but
McGregor knocked out who? When?
Years ago. One of his better opponents who had Eddie Alvarez. When he fights Eddie Alvarez, his combination that put Eddie Alvarez out was a thing of beauty. McGregor shifted back using his power and leverage. When Alvarez started going back, he just changed direction and had Alvarez on the end of his power, and his punches is a thing of beauty. I mean, I'm a nerd with it, so I look at that as, oh my God, that's so amazing to be able to do that just naturally. That's something that's unusual in a fighter, to be able to change direction like that and maintain your power. That's something that you can't, I mean, it's hard to teach that. You know, somebody's got to have that usually, like, naturally. You know, so I don't know. And to train your sparring partner to do that, and come on, that's not going to happen. You know, so it's hard. Anybody who thinks that they know how to fight McGregor, if they haven't been with him, it's going to be a first time experience.
I mean, I remember the Mayweather McGregor fight. And I remember there was this clip that was sort of going viral. They had kind of like tied up with each other, and McGregor starts like hitting him. Right. And the caption was like, when you're playing the video game, you don't read the instructions. You know, you're just mashing the buttons, and it just looked like, his hands were flailing around and so forth. I mean, he definitely looked very much outclassed in the ring with Mayweather.
Yeah.
Mayweather, and he even said how Mayweather maintained his calmness throughout, which really surprised him.
That was a dangerous fight for Mayweather, man. It was very dangerous for him.
Yeah.
He's fighting a guy bigger than any other opponent he's ever faced.
Uh-huh.
And see, now, the bigger thing, it goes over a lot of, like, pedestrians' heads. But that's major. That's why you have weight limits. And a weight limit like that, you've never seen in a real boxing match. That kind of a discrepancy. That's crazy.
Well, speaking of boxing, George Foreman is being sued for sexual abuse from the 1970s.
Oh boy, really?
Yeah. 2 women, I think want $12 million each.
Oh boy, I think I've caught little clips of it. I've never even read into it.
He is 73 years old. These are allegations from 45 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane that you could sue someone. So these 2 women want $12.5 million each. He's calling it an extortion attempt. He said, "The pride I take in my reputation, which means as much to me as my sports accomplishments, and I will not be intimidated by baseless threats and lies. I am and always be guided by my faith and trust in God. I will work with my lawyers to fully and truthfully expose my accuser's scheme and defend myself in court. I don't pick fights, but I don't run away from them either."
Gotcha.
How do you sue someone for something they did in the 70s?
I don't know. I mean, because it's trendy now, maybe. I can't really speak too much because I don't know what their beef is or what their argument is, but I know on the surface it sounds like, oh, let me get paid. Because I mean, I think about it. I could actually, put out a case of rape when I was younger. Let me explain this real clear. on the other side. Because
Right.
I was dealing with grown ass women when I was a minor. You know what I mean? But like if
Statutory rape.
yeah, so imagine like
Not physically holding you
no,
down.
no. But like, so imagine if one of them women were like crazy rich, right? And back in 1980, one or whatever that situation was, then I'm gonna try to get paid because now I know. I'm not saying that's what the situation is with these women, but damn, man, like back then, flirting. What was called flirting could be like
Sexual harassment.
yeah, sexual
No,
harassment.
I feel
now.
you. I completely feel you. I mean, like, I was born in 73. Like, these allegations come when there were no cell phones, there were no internet.
Yeah.
Most people didn't have a color television set.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, how do you even go and try to prove what happened?
I don't know.
Beyond, you might be able to prove that you had met him. Maybe there's a photo or something, but no one had video cameras.
Yeah, I don't know what their accusation is, but
yeah, it's a crazy time because, I mean, for example, Bill Cosby got let out, right? His case was reversed by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, only to get sued once again in civil court, and I believe he lost like $500,000 in that case, which he's going to try to appeal and everything else like that. And listen, for someone like Bill Cosby, $500,000 is not a lot of money. But still, this woman successfully sued him for sexual assault from like, I think this is like decades ago once again.
yeah, bro, man, I learned that anybody can sue anybody.
Right.
I got sued by a fighter. I don't know if I told you that before.
When was this?
Shit, man. I got sued by a fighter who said he lost a bunch of money in an upcoming purse because I misled him. He challenged me to spar.
Mm-hmm.
I met up with him, sparred at Benio Quidez's gym, and it didn't go the way he thought. Next thing I know, I got a lawyer up because I got to protect myself. He didn't get away with it ultimately, but I had to spend $8,000 in legal fees to fight. This guy was like the number 2, like heavyweight contender. And he's basically, because the law and the judges didn't understand martial arts. Everybody think they understand martial arts, but it's like, just because they believed his lawyer basically like I had some mystical ass power, or I kept like I was trained like in some kind of a unique way and hid that from him and end up hurting him in the match that he challenged me to. He's coming at me for damages. I couldn't believe that could happen, especially in a boxing gym.
Mm-hmm.
In a ring, right? So, man, from there, I'm like, damn, anybody could sue anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so yeah, it just happens to be the way it is.
Well, R. Kelly, since our last interview, got sentenced to 30 years in prison. Plus, he's facing another case. So he's going to be extradited to some other state, I think California this time around, to face a whole new set of charges.
Yeah.
That man is 55 years old. I mean, he's been locked up for a few years. He might get out when he's 80, if he's lucky. Do you feel that 30 years in a case like this is justified, or do you think they threw the book at him?
I think it's justified.
Okay.
Because, hell, bro, you know me for a long time. I don't give a shit about somebody's, stardom. Mm-hmm. I feel like we all are equal. And so if I start thinking about what if that was my cousin or somebody who I cared about is one of them women, you couldn't stop me from trying to get that cat. So,
yeah. I agree.
Yeah, so I give face to the faceless, right? I got to think about that stuff. I hate a bully, man. I hate a bully.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Aaliyah thing came back up in court this time around. Like, actual witnesses came in and so forth, and it was established. I think he was 27 at the time, and she was 15. And he had, the stories that he got her pregnant and then tried to get married to her to try to get around that and so forth. I mean, yeah, look, it's some foul shit.
We give a whole lot of leeway to celebrities, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was in front of everybody's faces, right? And it's like, oh, because this guy makes music.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's considered the greatest R&B singer since Michael Jackson, essentially. But here's the part that bothers me, is that the fact that there's no accountability for the parents. Like, look, you have daughters, right? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine?
I know where you're going. It's no way.
We're going to go to the studio.
But I'm not enthralled by celebrities.
Right,
I can give a
but just look at the situation, right? Let's just say, let's just take us out of the equation. Right. Here you are, a father. You have a 15-year-old girl.
Right.
You take her to the studio with R. Kelly. Mm-hmm. You may or may not have heard the accusations, whatever else. But let's just take R. Kelly out of the equation. You could take her to the studio to some famous music producer, songwriter, and you're going to leave her there for 2 weeks? Like, you're not going to be sitting there the whole time? Like, okay, yeah, I'll take my daughter there, and we'll just sit, the three of us will sit together while y'all work on music.
Absolutely. At fault. But
right?
That doesn't excuse anything else.
But why are none of the parents charged?
But why are we even talking about that?
Because I feel
think about this for a second.
There's enablers. Because it's not just one person that made this happen.
True.
Right?
Absolutely.
There's grooming. There's all types of stuff. Like,
doesn't exonerate the other cat?
Like Jeffrey Epstein's what's her name?
Giselle.
Her. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know how to say that name. I don't even know.
She just got 20 years. She did not rape anybody.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But she enabled these types of things to happen.
Yeah. And
she got 20 years. Whereas all the parents of all these girls have absolutely no penalty whatsoever.
But yeah, it's interesting the road that we're walking down right now, because let's start walking down the road of other people that were accused of stuff, and let's talk about these other scenarios. And it's it feels like it's a little bit of a deflection. And
well, it's not a deflection because R. Kelly has already been sentenced. We don't have to argue about R.
But no, I'm not arguing.
He's gotten 30 years, and that's established, and there's no way around that.
Yes,
right?
But you are right. What we're going to do? We're going to charge the parents?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I think we should.
That's interesting. Yep. That is
100%.
That is an interesting.
But parents should be charged. I'm not saying they should get the same charge as R. Kelly, but they should be charged.
I can't disagree with you on that.
You know, once you see a couple parents doing jail time over basically selling off their kids, then I think a lot of parents might think twice about doing some shit like this.
Yeah, and it's coming from we're coming from a different perspective clearly, and we're accounting it like these are balanced parents, and it's just unfair. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot in those scenarios. The predator knows who to pick from, and if those parents were balanced, he wouldn't even have flourished in his choices on how to do that.
Right.
It'd have been hard for him to get that done because, the predators know who to pick, and they ask these questions.
Parents, the struggling parents, the so forth. But look, at the end of the day, outside of Aaliyah, none of these girls had a music career. Like all of these dozens and dozens and dozens of girls who have gone through R. Kelly's system, only produced one Aaliyah. And that's it.
Right.
After Aaliyah, I don't know of a single R&B singer that R. Kelly has really brought up like that.
When you think about these parents, right? I think about my own mom. Like I say, I lost my mom to this business because when she became the first person on her block with a kid that was in Ebony magazine, it didn't matter what I said. Like I told you, like I could tell my mom I'm burying, people in my crawl space under my house, and she's like, "That's good." You know what I mean?
I met your mom before.
Yeah, but she,
very nice lady.
But she was the fact that she had a kid that was famous, that made her famous. Yeah, meant everything from this Southern woman who grew up with the whole thing of society going, I'm Mr. Gilmore III's, cousin. Like that meant something in her life. And so when she gonna go back to her business of professional black women's club with the dancing panda, who was me, and I could speak at her, her annual breakfast and the annual dinner, and she can offer me up, and that makes her the woman, the shit in her social group. It didn't matter what I said. And I used to test my mother all the time, saying the dumbest shit on the planet to see if she would check me. Never. So I just know how that goes. And so you got these parents, not to, still parenting should be your number one thing. And your love for your child should be the number one thing. But they're stepping into a world that they never thought would be possible. So these parents think, a week over there, I guess that's normal. A week over at Michael Jackson's house, I guess that's normal. Because
you can sleep in the bed while we're in the whole other room?
Yeah, because it's like, they can mention Michael Jackson, who was the most famous person on the planet.
Right. And they're probably thinking that if we say something, they're going to say, okay, never mind, you guys can go. Right. And that's it. Poof, done.
Absolutely. And their world that just opened up.
Just
beyond what they ever thought they could ever think of.
They go back to their low-income neighborhood.
Exactly, man.
Their mayonnaise sandwiches. And,
what we're talking about is common folk who never believed it possible. There's people who run into me and think, oh my God, this was sent from God. People who have said that. I knew the Lord was going to bless me with something today. I'm like, meeting me? Yes, I knew. I'm like, wow. Because they grew up thinking that somebody on TV means something godly.
There's actually a term for this. I don't remember what it is, but there's something that happens in a person's brain when they see someone on a TV and then they suddenly see the person in person.
Oh yeah.
That it's sort of like this weird effect where here's this person that's been living on my screen all these years, and suddenly they're in front of me and I could look at them in 3D and potentially touch them and so forth. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I go through it myself as well. I mean, when I first saw Beyonce in person, it's like, oh shit, that's Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never seen her in person before. Here she is, like right in front of me.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're backstage at a show at Madison Square Garden. Like,
yeah, man. And I go through that all because I never think about, that I'm famous. It doesn't come to mind first, right? Somebody looks at me, I'm going, what are you looking at? So I remember one time when I was an actor, somewhat established, and I was at Diddy's restaurant opening in New York, and I see Dr. J gets up and starts walking through the crowd, and I'm like, oh, let me not be in this man's way. And I'm like trying to move out of the way, and no matter where I went, I seemed like I was in his way. And I'm like basically encroached on a wall, and here he comes. He's coming over to meet me. And he's like, hey man, I really like your stuff. And I'm looking at this guy, it's like, you can see me? Like, are you kidding? Like, I'm not supposed to be able to interact with you, man. You're Dr. J. Yeah. And he's shaking my hand. I'm looking like a total idiot because I don't even know how to talk to this man. Because I'm thinking, how are you talking to me right now? Because, you know what I mean? This man was bigger than life to me. Yeah. But I forget, yo, bro, he could see you on TV and he could, he likes your stuff. Like, I'm like, that still freaks me out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that whole, and I'm not one that's all into the celebrity stuff. I've met all my heroes damn near, and I see them as people. But for some reason, that time I saw Dr. J, that was like, yo, he don't really walk, he floats.
I mean, we all have heroes, right? No matter who you are growing up in America with television and whatever else. And even before television, people had books and, and so forth. Like, there's someone that you look up to that looks, more than human to you in your eyes. Whether it's Tom Brady or Denzel Washington or Barack Obama or whoever. There's someone that you're like, wow, like I aspire to be what this person has accomplished. And when you actually meet the person, it's like, oh shit, now I'm actually interacting with them. If they're actually talking to you. And what makes it really dope, like for me, when the person actually tells me they're a fan of what I've done. Like when I met Dave Chappelle and he's told me that, or like Kevin Durant DM'd me the other day. It was like, yo,
that's
like,
cool. That's
cool.
Cool.
He was like, yo, man, I love your shit. I watch it every day. You're like the best at what you do. I'm like,
yo, bro, man.
Wow.
Sananda the former Terrence Trent D'Arby, contacted me basically because I spoke about him on this show. And, and it's like surreal to me because that's my favorite voice ever. And
Wishing Well, was that the song?
That's one of them.
That's one of them. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so we've been, in contact back and forth. But man, it's like, yeah, and then it's so cool when you're a fan of somebody and they're just so like down to earth. You know what I mean? There's some people that are just unusually like unaffected by their whole celebrity thing. I remember I ran into Matt Damon one time, a long time ago, in Japan at a first class lounge. We didn't pursue anything, but we ended up talking, and we talked for a while. Then years later, I'm in England, in London, doing Dark Knight. I get in the elevator in the lobby, and Matt Damon has probably come up from the basement, and he's in the elevator. And it's just me and him in the elevator. Now we're going up, and I was like, "Oh, that's Matt Damon." I'm not going to mention that I met him like years ago in a Japan and at the airport. I feel like if I mention that, and he gets to his floor, it's going like, okay, yeah, all right, see you later, right? I'm thinking I'm not going to bother this dude with that. And just as I had that thought, he turns to me and goes, "Aren't you Michael? Didn't I meet you in a first class lounge in Japan?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And so now I was like, damn, I feel like the asshole now. But he's just so like regular. I didn't think he would ever remember something like that. And then he invites me to a party later on or whatever. I'm just like, it's great when people are just cool as shit. And even like to me, the number one guy with that is Shaquille O'Neal. That guy, man, I remember at the height of his career, I would see him out at Jerry's Deli, just trying to grab something to eat after the club. And people would not leave this man alone. He can't hide.
Right.
Right? But he'd be trying to eat, and people would come over to take pictures with him. And he's like, "Listen, I'll take a picture just as soon as I eat." And they weren't even having it. And he would just, between bites, just smile. And then people would line up, and I'm going, "Oh my God, man, how do you do?" But that dude, there's so many similarities. I feel that, with that guy, because as big as he is, he's never been affected. He's been a regular person. And I feel like we think a lot alike, because when he has his spare time, he donates his time to others, which is something I've always, wanted to, I always do in my spare time. And we both were about to become sheriff deputies in the same academy.
You call me the police, Shaq is the police in real life.
Right. No, but seriously, like, yeah, you see, for him, he could spend the time in the summer because, he had a regular job.
Yeah.
And it seemed like every summer, because they were always training in June, I would start, but I couldn't finish. And I'd end up getting, have to chase a movie or whatever. But yeah, man, it's cool when people put their celebrity as in, that's just their job and it don't affect anything else. Because, like I was saying before, man, if you don't get that balance before you're famous, that imbalance that you have is going to take you down. And I see it in everybody whose demise, is because of an imbalance they didn't get before everybody started praising them. And so, yeah, that's, I feel sorry for folks who, I don't know, they surround themselves with just fans, and then they're living in a alternate world. I don't ever see it turn out well for them.
Well, you mentioned Batman that you were in.
Oh yeah.
The Dark Knight.
You see how I forget that stuff? Yeah.
Did you watch the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson?
No, I plan on seeing it.
It's pretty good. I liked it. He pulled off a pretty good Batman.
Yeah, I plan on watching it when I'm not too damn tired.
Yeah, I think Christian Bale, in my eyes, has been the best Batman so far.
So far,
So
from what
far.
I've seen, I really
From
like
what I've
Christian.
seen, that's not just me saying that because you were in the film. I mean, honestly, Christian Bale, I've always liked Christian Bale as an actor. And I feel like he really killed, like the 2 Dark Knight films I thought were really, really dope.
Yeah, I think Christian Bale is one of the greatest actors living today.
I agree.
Yeah, and
He never really has bad roles if you think about it.
No, not that I've seen.
Yeah, he kills it every time.
Oh yeah.
Well, we were mentioning parents. Hopefully I'm not going to get my Tesla repoed after I say this, but when you look at what I consider something damn near criminal is Elon Musk's dad. It was just revealed that he had a secret baby with his stepdaughter, who he basically became her stepfather at age 4. So I believe since she was, older when they had the baby, but to be someone's father at age 4 and then to end up having a baby with him is just like, it just kind of churns my stomach.
Mm. Yeah, that's pretty nefarious. Yeah, it's we've known.
You're almost changing this person's diapers. Like this person's just barely out of diapers at age 4.
Mm.
And then you end up having sex with them later on.
Yeah, well, there's some fucked up people in this world.
Yeah, I mean, look at Woody Allen.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I'm not justifying Woody Allen, but at least, like, I believe the daughter was at least a little bit older. But even then, it was, like, weird. Like, the daughter, I think, was maybe, like, 15 or something when they adopted her or some shit. But, like,
that's all.
I mean, the whole thing is fucked up. I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's like, these are really, like, your kids, man.
If you don't get that shit balanced before you get powerful.
Yeah.
That's what takes you down.
Because, I mean, Elon Musk now has 10 kids.
Mm.
It was recently announced that he had 2 kids with one of his executives, some girl that worked for him. They had like twins. And then his last girlfriend, they had another kid through a surrogate, I believe. He's up to 10.
He could afford it.
Oh, he could definitely afford it.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3 more kids than Boosie.
Okay.
Just want to put that out there in the world.
Okay.
But people give Boosie a hard time over all his kids. It's like, well, Elon Musk got 10. Nick Cannon, I believe, has 9, if you include the ones that are on the way.
Okay.
What do you think about the whole Nick Cannon situation?
I don't know about the Nick Cannon situation.
He just had kids with all these different women at around the same time. There'd be like 2 or 3 women pregnant, essentially, for the last few years.
Yeah.
They're all having kids.
So he's like my dad.
He's what?
He's like my dad.
Your dad had how many kids?
He's a throwback of like the 70s.
Okay, how many kids did your dad have?
Us. We kept finding out stuff. We found out of 2 more at the funeral. But that's what it was like back then. It's like they say my father was like a car dealer. You want 2, you get 2, you get 1, whatever. But that was like kind of, I don't know. That was indicative of that time. To each his own, man. I'm like,
okay, wait, hold on. Me and you have never had this conversation all the years we know each other. How many kids does your dad have?
8? Is it something like that? Something like that.
8,
I believe.
How many different mothers? 8?
6?
6?
Something like that. Yeah.
So you have all these half brothers and sisters that.
Yeah.
What's it like to meet a sibling that you never even knew existed in your adult life?
Well, that happened. Like I met brothers and sisters when I was, it was crazy. I met my oldest brother. One day he called my mom's house, and I think I was 13. And he, I remember he called, and the damn Doobie Brothers song, "Taking It to the Streets," was on in the background. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was like, what? This can't really be happening. So, we became tight, and, till, I lost him this past year.
Oh, really?
To COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you lost your oldest son and your brother
Within weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and I had written a movie called As Good as Dead. That's the name of the movie. And you know, starred in it. Because my brother, he retired and moved to Mexico. Started a family in Mexico. And I wrote a movie based on him. That my brother was supposed to be on set with me because I speak Spanish and English in the movie. And he was going to be my coach and my assistant. And he passed away within a month of me starting that movie. And, you know, I try to take the positive out of everything when there's not much, but his passing made me really concentrate on doing the best I could on that role to honor him. So, why did I get on this subject? How did we get here?
Not sure.
Yeah.
We just talked. Fathers.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, right. Yeah, that's how we did. But yeah, so yeah, I had sisters and, so it's I had to seek them out. It's just the same way my brother sought me out. And it was weird because my father's genes was very strong. Everybody on his side had the same sense of humor. And when I really bonded with them, and we were like that. And to this day, I mean, it feels like I grew up with them from childhood.
Yeah, I mean, you've never tried one of these DNA like packages like 23andMe that you could like do a DNA test and see who else who's taking the same test you might be related to? And
yeah, my son was behind getting those things done. But yeah, I've done that, and I've done the ancestry thing.
Okay,
that's how I found out that our family's roots were in Ghana.
Got it. Well, Mike Tyson, the airplane fight.
Oh boy, yeah.
What'd you think of that?
Yeah, it's wasn't surprised, man. That guy was a major asshole.
I couldn't believe it because remember I told you, I even showed you the footage when I interviewed Tyson when he got kind of annoyed with me during our interview. You've never seen this?
Refresh my memory. He got annoyed.
When I asked him, I said, "What when I interviewed him, it was like in his ring at his gym, and I said, hey, what is here you are, this multimillionaire, and you seem to be attracted to these street guys all the time."
Oh, okay.
And Tyson was like, "What do you mean attracted?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Shit, not the right word." Here you are, this multimillionaire, and it seems like you've always been attracted to the guys that are still in the streets to a certain degree. Do you think that's a fair statement?
You think I'm attracted to them?
Well, not attracted to them, but I mean, you like having them around. You're friends with them, and you maintain.
You think I like having them around?
I'm just asking.
You think I'm friends? What do you think? You think I like having them around?
You just spoke nicely about Zip, so I just thought.
Yeah. You know who these guys are? When you talk, what do you say about me? I'm this big, whatever I am, right? But you know who those guys are? Those are the guys that when I'm, whoever I am is a nobody, those are the guys that live in the same building with me. They give my mother salt or sugar if they need, or milk. They're the same guys.
Yeah. Not the right word. I wish I could take it back, but here I am in the ring with Mike Tyson right now, and my security guy is way over there.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get to me in time. Tyson takes a swing at me right now. But I remember just feeling like, it's still Mike Tyson. Like, this is not someone, I'm backing up off the statement and trying to explain myself, and I'm not
because there's
I'm not trying to piss him off. Like, I'm still in the ring with Mike Tyson, right? This is still
in the ring, you are an opponent. Especially
right. But I mean, still I'm in very close proximity with this man. And I just don't want to bother, I don't want to upset him.
Right.
Right? Because he's still Mike Tyson. Growing up as the baddest man alive, knock guys out in 30 seconds. So I just can't imagine poking at him and bothering him over and over again the way that guy was doing. It was really kind of crazy.
Dude, that
I'm watching going like, what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah, well, hey man, he wasn't new to being an asshole. He didn't just pioneer being an asshole that day. Yeah. He had a whole lot of practice before that. So I mean, there's people like Mike Tyson, and there's people like who they listen strongly. They a lot of the most dangerous people are hypersensitive, especially if they have to defend themselves. Because how many times did Mike Tyson have to defend himself for somebody taking something in another direction? So he's going to be on every word. I looked at you speaking to Sammy the Bull Gravano, and that cat, every little word, he can hear everything, and he listens.
Yep.
Because you got to survive on that instinct. You're wrong about somebody that could cause your life. So he's like, I mean, it was interesting watching that, and also I love the way I see how much better you are in the interview process, and how you got to be like, you got to be on your toes, because the wrong word takes you this way, but then there's times where you pick the right word. I mean, most of the time you pick the right word, and he was very engaged. But at any moment, you say the wrong thing, this guy's going to be that way, and he has no fear of anybody. It's interesting because the most dangerous people I've ever met in my life have all been under 5'7".
Yeah, he was a small guy. It kind of surprised me when I was like, "Oh, this guy's actually..."
Met, the people who will take your ass out, I know a number of them, and they all happen to be like that, and they listen like that. I mean, you know what's crazy? I believe the most dangerous people I met is the same guy who pistol whipped Corey Pegues.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure it's the same guy. They have the same street name, but this is a friend of mine who, to me, reminds me a lot of Sammy the Bull.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. Sammy the Bull is 5'5".
Yeah. Some of the baddest cats I know, 5'6", 5'5". And I mean, this guy that I know, and I think I talked to you about him once before, because my friend Frankie, who was super middleweight champion, he was, still connected with a lot of street stuff. And he always talked to me about this guy. And then I'll go to visit Frankie one day. He had this new condo or whatever. And on the bottom floor, this dude walked by me. And he nodded, and I nodded, and I was like, that's a killer. And once I got to Frankie's house, I said, you beefing with anybody? He's like, no, man, nah. And I was like, we about to leave out here. Give me that 1911, and you grab whatever you want. Well, I know he had this 1911 45. I said, we're not going downstairs without being strapped because of this guy I just saw downstairs. And Frankie starts laughing. I don't know what he's laughing about. And in comes the same guy I passed. And he tells him, yo, Mike peeped you out. I'm like, I grew up with this, right? I knew without a doubt this dude was a killer. And he had a lot of bodies on him. But I was like, there's got to be an explanation for why a guy like that is here. And turns out that, and he became a very good friend. But man, I recognize that look. And people like that, they don't even know. But there's not many people who would be able to peep them out that way. But I knew without a doubt, I didn't know that was a guy Frankie talked to me about for years, but it made sense because I was like, nah, this cat. But there's a look, there's a certain thing that you can tell growing up in that fashion.
Well, since our last interview, the whole Will Smith, Chris Rock slap happened. Have you ever been nominated for an Academy Award yourself?
No.
Okay. Have you been to the Oscars?
No.
Okay. But you're in the same business, obviously.
Yeah, I don't like award shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you saw that slap happen, what did you think?
I didn't see the slap happen.
Did you watch it afterwards?
I don't watch the Oscars.
Okay.
I've seen the pictures and everything, and I've seen some, and I've put myself at arm's distance from it because I don't like being upset. I can't stand bully shit, right? So,
And to me, that was some bully shit.
yeah.
You have a guy that's 6'2", probably about 220, muscular, and another guy that's probably about 5'9", probably weighs about 160 pounds. The guy on stage is a comedian. And as you know, I mean, I've been to a lot of comedy shows. When I sit in the front row, I'm going to get roasted, especially if they recognize me. I get roasted at comedy shows all the time. It is what it is. You put yourself in that position. So Chris Rock made a couple of jokes about Jada and her being bald. The G.I. Jane joke. Will Smith laughed along with it initially, but then afterwards, clearly his wife wasn't happy with it. So he goes and slaps Chris Rock, sits back down and says, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." Then he goes and wins the award for Best Actor for King Richard. And he goes and parties the night away. To me, the thing that bothered me really was that he slapped who he knows he could slap. Right? I remember Jazzy Jeff did an interview recently where he goes, "No, you know, if Mike Tyson was on stage, Will Smith would have done the same thing." And I do not believe that. Not 1%.
Of course not.
If you were on stage and Will Smith,
just stop it.
it's just not a conversation. Is do you at all though applaud Chris Rock's, maintaining his composure and actually reading off the nominees and going about his day and
yeah, I mean, dude, it's like there's certain things. The picture, that picture fucked with me deeply because that picture got plastered on everything. It was like on the front of everything, and it hurt me to the soul. Just hurt me to the soul, man. It really bugged me. To see that man get slapped and humiliated like that.
Do you know Chris Rock?
No. I mean, I've met him several times.
Okay.
It's crazy. I've got like, I got this kind of, sometimes I think about TK and myself. We've got these Forrest Gump things. We were around during all these things. I was doing extra work on Saturday Night Live when Chris Rock was on there, and we, encountered with. He wouldn't remember that,
right?
But yeah, man. Yeah, that bugged me a great deal. And
what about Will Smith? Do you know him?
No, I don't know.
Don't know him.
I've met him.
Yeah, I don't know either person. So I really don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just looking from the outside looking in. There was no way, like if The Rock was presenting, ain't a damn thing would have happened.
Yeah. We
or if he would have judged someone bigger, they would have put that mic down and tackled them and did what they got to do.
Yeah, man. But the theme here today, I think, is, if you didn't get that shit balanced out before you got power,
right?
That's what's going to take you down. And I swear, it's the same theme throughout.
Yeah.
Whatever you didn't do your work before you got power, that's what takes you down. There's some work that he didn't do before that moment that came back to bite him. I had to do work, my whole female situation and how I thought everything was about my, sexual prowess and dominating women and all that type of stuff. If I didn't get that shit fixed, I wouldn't be in the marriage that I am today.
Yeah.
So it's a theme, man. It's like, hopefully you figure it out before you get powerful, because there ain't going to be a whole lot of people around you that's going to be equipped to check you. That's my mom, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And my friends who are going to agree with anything I say, even if I'm like full of shit, That's it, but that's what the Wills and everybody's dealing with. That their world, I mean, I wasn't prepared for my world to change, and the people that supposed to keep me in check, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. So I do, and I don't, it's not an excuse, but I do understand the situation and the world that they start to build, where you think whatever whims you have is justified. that's just, it's a byproduct of power.
Well, you mentioned TK Kirkland.
Uh-huh.
And what I never knew until me and you were talking the other day was that TK was actually supposed to be in Black Dynamite.
Yes, sir.
But something prevented him from doing that.
Yes. I wanted TK to be one of the pimps in the pimp scene.
Right.
TK, TK and I had a friendship. This was the skinny TK, by the way, before he got nearly the size he is. It was somewhere, I forgot what year it was. He just popped up as big ass TK. I don't know if he went to prison or something. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I didn't even recognize him because he got so swole. And I saw him on stage. I'm like, that's TK. Damn. He used to be like slender, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, back in the day when I was getting, Black Dynamite together, I'm like, yeah, I want you to be in this scene. And then turns out is I wanted Charlie Murphy to play Chicago Wind, which wound up, when we were going to production, I couldn't find him. I don't know what happened. And Michael T. Williamson ended up playing that role. And I was asking Eddie Murphy if he could play, was it Osiris? But the role that, the one with Arsenio. Mm-hmm. Arsenio said yes. Eddie was like, I don't know about this, right? And then later, which, to my happiness, that Eddie Murphy said, man, I should have done it. And I think that planted the seed for him eventually to do Dolomite, which I feel very, proud about. But yeah, but then I found out from Charlie that there was a beef with TK. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
2 years later that TK mentioned on your show about the stealing of the watch.
Yeah. TK Kirkland. And here's actually what's funny, because I was hanging out with John Sally last night.
Right.
And so it's funny how all these people I know are tied into these same stories.
Right, yeah.
So John Sally actually brought TK Kirkland to Eddie Murphy's house.
Right.
And when he
John
got
Sally,
there,
who was also in the movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Who's also in
Yeah.
Black Dynamite,
Yeah.
brought TK Kirkland to Eddie Murphy's house, which I just found out last night. And TK Kirkland ended up stealing Eddie Murphy's Rolex.
Yeah.
And he admitted to it later on.
Yeah.
And that's why TK couldn't be in Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because Charlie and Eddie were like, nah.
Yeah, I didn't know, but Charlie had the beef with TK. I didn't know why. All I knew was, shoot, Charlie, if I had Charlie and Eddie in the movie potentially, damn, man, sorry, TK, I can't do that.
Especially Eddie. I mean,
Yeah, the
Black Dynamite featuring Eddie Murphy, shit.
The possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
I was punching above my weight class asking him.
Right.
But he was a friend. We were friendly enough for me to ask. But of course, I'm gonna ask because if he says, "Yeah, what the hell?" I'll be like, "Okay," because that's just like when we were doing the cartoon. And Samuel L. Jackson goes, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, hey, man, why not? So, yeah. So that's how that went down.
How do you feel? Because look, you've been in so many movies. You've been in over 100 films at this point?
I think.
Right.
I think that's might be TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And look, you have great films. Like the Batman films and so forth. And some films you probably are not as proud of.
Oh yeah. There's a few of those.
So I was looking online and on ScreenCrush.com.
Screen Crush.
There is a guy named Matt Singer. Let me show you a picture of him, just so you can have in case you run into him later on.
Uh-huh.
So Matt Singer, who is the editor and critic for ScreenCrush.com. He was also the on-air host for IFC News, and he's a member of the New York Film Critics Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Made a list on Screen Crush called the worst movies of the 90s.
Okay.
2 of your films
Really?
showed up in this list.
Okay.
You and I are friends, so I feel comfortable enough to actually read this to you.
All right.
So, number 16 on the list is one of the sequels to Universal Soldier.
Sequels to Universal Soldier.
I forgot what it was.
Oh, yeah,
Universal
yeah.
Soldier 3, I think, or something like that.
No, Universal Soldier 2.
2. Okay, there
I'm
we go.
probably going to agree with him
2.
on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how he described Universal Soldier 2. He said the original Universal Soldier was sort of a RoboCop for war movies with dead Vietnam War soldiers like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You can stop right there. That was a bullshit ass dude. That was
okay. So hold on.
but that ain't my movie. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme's movie.
Okay. So he said the sequel, which briefly featured the franchise to movie theaters after 2 straight-to-video thrillers, abandoned any sort of weightier issues or social commentary, and instead gave viewers Michael Jai White as a sentient computer and pro wrestler Bill Goldberg fighting dudes with wrestling moves. The general level of thoughtfulness of the film could be summed up by the fact that in the first movie, Jean-Claude was resurrected, was a resurrected mindless killing machine, while the return, he's restored to his prior humanity and personality. In other words, scientists have found a way to resurrect people from the dead, yet no one seems to find this notable or important. Instead, it's a movie about Michael Jai White, the computer that kicks people really hard.
That movie's dumb as hell. Come on. If you research anything I've ever said about that movie, it was hard for me to even say the dialogue. It was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, if you ask me one of the worst movies I've been in, it would have to be that. I was a computer and now I'm better than, who longed to be a man, and now I'm better than both. I was like, could I rewrite this to make it make sense? It was, it's one of those things, but hey, this ain't on me. This was the first time I'm actually doing martial arts in a movie, really.
Okay.
Because I did not want to do any martial art movies coming out the gate. I wanted to establish myself as an actor. And that was the first thing that, showing martial arts skill against Jean-Claude Van Damme in his movie. So he's the driver. I'm in the one of the back seats right there. Mm-hmm. So that ain't my movie, bruh.
Okay. You thought the Universal Soldier 2 was worse than Toxic Avenger 2? Because I actually looked up one of the scenes.
Toxic Avenger doesn't pretend.
You were fighting Toxic Avenger with a mop. Like, he had a mop.
It's on.
You had nunchucks. It was nunchucks against a mop.
It's intentional. That's the style of the movie. You can't overact in that movie. I loved it.
Okay.
I defend Toxic Avenger to this day. It was what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be silly as shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the other movie that showed up on this list, which actually kind of surprised me, at number 13, is Spawn.
Another movie.
Okay, so here's how he describes it. He said, Spawn is a truly terrible film with cringe-inducing writing, ludicrous macho posturing from Michael Jai White and Martin Sheen, multiple fart jokes, and some of the ugliest special effects that have ever appeared in a film released by a major Hollywood studio. The only way this could be more camp is if a bunch of kids spent the summer taking archery and lanyard classes in it. It might be good for a few ironic laughs, but that's about it.
Again, anybody researches me, speaking about Spawn, there's not one time I said it was a good movie. I've never, ever defended it as a good movie.
I like Spawn.
I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I like the cartoon even more.
The problem is there was a version of that movie that was far better until it got edited and edited down. Because in the movie, to me, there's no more mention of the relationship that I tried to get back to. I look like some hideously deformed creature that's trying to destroy my friend's relationship. Mm-hmm. Because they cut out so much of the story just for a special effects take. The director was a special effects guy. That's it. You know what I mean? So he didn't give a damn about story. And so he was given carte blanche to do anything he wanted after we had a really successful first screening. I sat in that screening of the final movie like this. I remember Quincy Jones was on right here to my left, and people were asking me about it, and I was going, that wasn't what I expected. I was saying things like that. But I don't lie to nobody. I don't lie. I've never lied about that movie. That version, I was like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? Because I was like, unless you're already a Spawn fan, you forgive stuff because you already know the story of it.
Which I was.
If you were not a Spawn fan, it's like, what the fuck? There was things, I mean, the director told me, oh yeah, there was a look that you gave Martin Sheen, and I used that look to pull a bio bomb from his body. I'm like, that wasn't ever in the script. What the fuck is that? Like, there's Malbosia reaches in and pulls the clown from, that wasn't in the movie. There's a bunch of special effects that was just like, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? I swear to you, I've never defended that movie to this day. Never defended it. I'm like, y'all like it? Cool. That was like, what the hell's the story about now?
There you go. Matt Singer, Michael actually agrees with you.
I agree. I absolutely agree with
those
you.
two. Would you say, from your
just because I'm in something don't mean that it's good.
I mean, from your point of view, would you say that those are your two worst movies from your point of view?
No, but I ain't going to tell you what my worst movie is because somebody might try to rent it. Hell no. There's a few that's worse than that.
Right. Well, actually, you're in a Kingdom Business.
Yep. That's a great show.
On BET Plus.
See, I don't bullshit.
Don't bullshit that one.
That show is amazing.
Kirk Franklin is in it.
Yep.
How's that? Because he's not really an actor.
Yes, he is. Kirk is he's a force of nature. This man is just amazing. He's so talented. We got Yolanda Adams. This is the best television experience I've ever seen. I first read, I was like, oh, BET, I was like, let me read this. It was amazing. I thought the script was amazing. Then, I mean, we got Devon Franklin and just Dr. Holly Carter, Oz Scott. This was some of the, I mean, if you were into this, television series making, you couldn't get a better group of folks. Oz Scott, this director, I mean, he directed Bustin' Loose for Richard Pryor. He's royalty. And he happened to be the director of a television series that I did a long time ago that to me was my favorite series, which was called Wonderland. It was basically based off of Bellevue Hospital in New York. And I played the head of the ER. And I had the chance of really playing something that was close to who I am. That series was ahead of its time because there was some graphic stuff that was like, it was hard to take at the time. Now it would be light, but we had amazing guest stars in that thing. I mean, Madonna sang the theme song. We had Jeremy Piven and we had just such amazing actors. I mean, Ted Levine wasn't it was way ahead of its time. And if you can get a chance to watch that thing, yeah, I went off the subject again. But anyway, getting back to Kingdom Business, man, that's something that, I will tell you if I think something's not up to par, that's the best series I've ever been involved with.
Well, wasn't there like talks of you being in the original Black Panther film?
It's always been talks. After Black Dynamite, I did meet with Marvel. But that was, it was a long time ago.
Okay, so there was never like a serious conversation about you being in Black Panther?
Yeah, it was a serious conversation about it, but I don't think the time was right.
Okay. Is there any talks about you being in Black Panther 2?
No.
Not at all?
No, not at all. No. I would doubt there would be.
Do you think that they're going to replace Chadwick Boseman and have a whole new Black Panther character with a different actor?
I wish they would.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that they say, oh, nobody can replace. Come on. Like, why are you going to do that to the audience?
How many Spider-Mans have there been?
Yeah, but come on. Why would you make that decision?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's also some sad news actually that I guess Chadwick Boseman's I don't know what exactly happened with his will, but apparently the government actually got more money than his widow and his parents.
Mm.
Yeah. the widow got 1.15 million, the parents got 1.15 million, and I think like the government got like $1.5 million or so on top of that. So I think a lot of it got taxed and so forth. So, just one of those things where if you know you're going to pass away, just try to get all your ducks in a row and everything else like that. But you're actually, speaking of Marvel, you're actually doing the voice of Blade for Marvel's Midnight Suns video game. Do you not know about this?
I think you got to cut that part out.
Why?
I think there's a non-disclosure thing.
It's the news. It's in the news.
It's in the news?
Yeah, I found a whole bunch of places that they're talking about this.
Oh, well, I guess it's okay. I mean, because I wasn't supposed to speak about that. I don't know how those non-disclosure things work.
There's all types of articles about this.
Is there?
Yes.
It's out now?
Yes. Back in January, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Michael Jai White to voice Blade. Comicbook.com.
Okay. You see how aware of stuff I am? I didn't know. All I know is a non-disclosure. And even when I'm going to the studio, I ain't mentioning it. I just got to go to the studio. What are you doing? I'm just got to go to the studio. This being sued shit is not fun, man.
No, it is not.
Yeah, so, I
you
err
don't know
on the
nothing
side
about
of
Okay. You were just in the music video, I guess a few months ago with Busta Rhymes and Mariah Carey, Where I Belong.
Oh, yeah, it came out a few months ago, but I shot that damn thing a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Mariah looked kind of young in that video.
I mean, there's two videos.
I guess. If
Like,
you say so.
Yeah, there's the original, I Know What You Want.
Well, yeah, there's that, which you're not in. Wait,
No, I am.
Oh, you are? Oh, that's why they brought you back.
So I reprised the thing 18 years later.
I was going to say, it looked kind of familiar. I guess I didn't put the pieces together. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
We did a part 2 18 years later.
Aha.
So that if that video had a child, it would be on its own at that
It
point.
would be that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's, that was it a year ago? I have a tendency and I never look back. I'm always just looking ahead. And so I never really know what's coming out and when.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you do have a new film. Is it out yet? The Commando with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, that's out.
Okay. What was it like working with Mickey Rourke?
That was the second time I worked with him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because the first time I worked with him was with my wife's movie, where she's the Liam Neeson in the movie. She's the ass kicker, and she kills Mickey Rourke at the end. Spoiler alert, if you're gonna watch it, but it's called Take Back. So, and then 4 months later, he is the heavy in a movie that I'm starring in, which is Commando. And so I worked with him twice within 4 months. I feel like I got two different Mickeys on each of the sets, but he didn't know that we had met like decades earlier, because my friend Frankie that I mentioned, Frankie was super middleweight champion boxer. That's one of the people I credit with a lot of my boxing skill that I trained with him for 25, almost 30 years now. But like he and Mickey were friends. And Mickey didn't realize that I bought a car off of him back then, El Camino with nitrous tanks and everything else. But I didn't want to bring that up to Mickey because during that time, I didn't want him to know that I was privy to what he was going through at that time. I didn't want him to feel, uncomfortable or embarrassed or anything like that. And no reason to, but it's like, there's folks that you admire and respect because he's an amazing actor. I don't want him to feel insecure at all. But we got along really good. We worked together. Had to do a fight scene together, which was really cool. But yeah, man, he's to me like, one of the last representatives of old Hollywood. People who have that thing, no matter what, that you can't take your eyes off of. Got that charisma, So it was cool. It was cool working with him.
Well, we have a YouTube membership, and one of our members actually brought up, because sometimes before interviews I'll say, hey, I got so and so coming in. What do you think I should ask them? And one of our members, KG, said, "Whatever happened to your movie called The Moor?"
That's in the works. That's
because I saw the the trailer of it from 2016 or something.
Oh, it's older than that, because what I tend to do is I will shoot a concept trailer. Just like with Outlaw Johnny Black, I shot a concept trailer well before I went to go get the money. And I shot a concept teaser thing. I went to China to shoot it in Hebei, which is south of Beijing. And my thing is, I'm going to do it when the time is right. And now that I've got my own company, and my biggest problems before used to be getting a movie. Now my problems are scheduling a movie, which is a wonderful problem to have. I'm very blessed.
Oh yeah.
So now that's something to where hopefully next year we get to schedule that movie, because that's something that's, I feel, a world movie, and the messages on that are really big. I mean, I've been playing chess with that. I've got folks in the Arab Emirates and a lot of different pieces that I've been moving to come about getting my my backers to see this as a very global movie. And if you do it right, you can do major studio type of movies done at a fraction of the cost. What my tendency, what I want to be known as, is the Blumhouse of action movies.
Well, an article I found is that you're actually doing the Billy Joel biopic.
That's one of the things.
Piano Man?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've signed on to.
So you have the rights to Billy Joel's life story.
Well, so to speak, that it's a time period before he became the Billy Joel that we all know.
Okay.
And that's an interesting story. We then, it's one of these things that dare say the story before the story is the most interesting part. There's a lot of the story and the love story of Billy Joel, which people think that they know that guy, man. It's almost like Raging Bull with a piano, and the relationships that you could see might have prompted some of his greatest hits. I think there's an interesting take on it. So what you're talking about is the time period before. It's from 68 to 73, I believe, where the Genesis story would be.
Is he involved in this production?
No.
Oh.
No, he's not.
It's like an unauthorized
biography.
Kind of?
The majority of these things, the main person's not involved. I mean,
I don't know how these things work. I mean, I'm seeing stuff like, the Little Richard story or the New Edition story where I know the actual artists are involved. Sometimes
it is, but I mean, Mike Tyson wasn't involved with the Mike Tyson.
No, he was not. Or the new one that's coming out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's, that's very common that, because a lot of times somebody's passed on and they're not involved. Yeah. So it's not a necessary thing. Yeah. If you're using his hits as part of the thing, but we're not telling the story of the hits. We all know what those are, So it's about telling a story prior to that.
Well, we had a couple other questions from members. For example, Pierre Howie actually had a very interesting question. He said, what kind of short-term, long-term, and permanent injuries have you amassed over your career in terms of all the martial arts work that you've done?
Man, where's some wood that I can knock on, man? I've been very blessed, man.
No real injuries?
No. And I've been through some wars. I've been through a lot of wars. It's weird. My friends who play basketball have far more injuries than I do. Because
or football for that matter.
Oh my God. Because it's like you being relaxed and not expecting to be damaged is when you get the worst damages. When somebody's trying to kick your head off, you know, you for some reason get less damage. But I mean, my friends who are fighters, yeah, the majority they have suffered quite a lot of damage. I'm very fortunate because one of my main arts is called Kyokushin. It is a bare knuckle type of thing, and I got used to getting my ass kicked a lot. That it was almost like, I don't know, you say it's sadistic a little bit back in the day. So that's why I was never afraid to just mix it up with folks. Because the way I was trained in Kyokushin is, I guess you would call it a bit brutal.
Well, another question from a member, Shock the Maven, said, of all the martial arts that you've learned, all the belts that you've earned, which style is your favorite?
It's Kyokushin.
It's Kyokushin. So you've already answered the question.
It's absolutely Kyokushin because, it's, I mean, the test in Kyokushin, like I said, it's bare knuckle. I grew up fighting grown men with bare knuckle. And so you get hit, that's your fault. You get used to this kind of ethic to where you're always going to be faced with having to overcome fatigue and everything. Even when you're tested, right? We have something called a 10-man. I think I mentioned that before. I've done the 10, 20, 30-man fights to where you're fighting fresh people. And there's going to be a point where you feel like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't continue. I don't care how good you are. You're tested with yourself and you find out you can hit a superhero button, that you can go a lot further than you think you can, but you got to walk the burning sands to find that out. And so when I'm fighting, a 20-man, I'm thinking, am I crazy? And when I go to that thing that I recently did some years ago, with all my accolades as being the action star, and I'm fighting these people there's people from Russia, people from Bulgaria who badass fighters. And I got to overcome myself. I got to train 8 hours a day. You know what? And people, I have a bullseye on me. It's not no favoritism. They want to knock my ass out. And, there's a certain point where I go, what the hell am I doing? Is this worth it? But then I get past it. Then I go, man, I'm so glad I tested myself and went through it, because life has not been presenting these tests to me, but it's about that internal fortitude. So, if you can go there and you have that in you, it can only be tested one way.
Well, another one of our members, AJ Ware, said, talk about the story. I guess you went on the Joe Rogan podcast about kicking a punching bag off the chain.
Oh, I wasn't on that.
He talked about it. Okay, yeah. He talked about the story on his podcast, but you weren't actually there.
Right.
So what exactly happened?
Yeah, I believe Eddie Bravo, who's one of the people I trained. I trained under him in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Who's like a guru. But he and Joe Rogan are like best friends, and I've known Joe Rogan for a long, long time. And incidentally, I offered him the lead role, the co-lead role in Blood and Bone.
Oh, really?
But back in the day. But Joe,
he turned it down.
Yeah, he turned it down because he really wanted to focus on his comedy and he wasn't crazy about doing movies.
Huh.
But I personally offered that to Joe Rogan, the pinball character.
Yeah.
The guy who was managing him. But Joe, my God, Joe was training with people like Maurice Smith, who was like one of the baddest kickboxers, K1 kickboxer, way before even UFC came around. So Joe's like seriously legit. But so what happened is, we trained at the same places for years, and we at the time we were in Chris Riley's gym. He trained a lot of UFC guys, but I forget the name of it. But anyway, we're at the gym, and I believe it was Eddie Bravo wanted me to demonstrate the side kick. And this is, I guess, after Joe was kicking the thing. And so I just demonstrated like kicking it. I think I did a slide in side kick, and the chain broke in the bag and all that kind of stuff. And we almost hid it and act like it was broken before or whatever. But yeah, he was accounting that. But we spent so much time in the gym. That was just one of those things. But Joe Rogan, the top, I say he's number 2 best back spinning kick I've ever seen.
I mean,
number 1 is Benny Urquidez.
How good is Joe Rogan really in MMA?
Very good.
Very good.
Very good. Joe Rogan and I have a lot in common. He has always tested himself. He trained, he loves it. I would see Joe Rogan, like, he'd be like what's his name? I forget. He'd be training all the time. Most of the time I'm going there, he's training. He's doing jiu-jitsu with Eddie, and Carl Parisian, all these top jiu-jitsu guys, he's rolling with them. And he's basically instructing them. So Joe is a martial art nerd. So I know he's got stand-up capability. I know he's got amazing jiu-jitsu capability. His best friend is Eddie, who's a jiu-jitsu freaking guru. And so I'd train with them and for years. But that's before Joe Rogan really got as popular as he is now. So yeah, somebody steps in the ring with Joe, just like, well, we're nerds with it. It's not about like getting popular behind it. We just love it. So that's a thing that it's one thing that if somebody's training because they want popularity or power. But it's another thing if you're training because you love it. And it's not about getting money or anything else like that. So that's one thing that I think we're very similar in. We do it for free. That's what we do. We have the choice to do it or not. You know what I mean? I love it. So that's why I'm sparring with champions and I've been doing that since day one. Wrestlers, all that type of stuff. And I don't mind getting my ass kicked because every time I get my ass kicked, I learn something. So that's fun to me. Joe's the same way. And we're both competitive billiard players too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting story right now in the hip hop world. Out in Florida, there's a rapper named Ksoo. And he's charged for a murder. And apparently, according to the reports, after the murder happened, he met with his father to try to get some help, to try to somehow deal with the situation. So now his father is being charged with accessory to murder after the fact. You heard about this?
No.
This is what it means. You kill someone, you go to my house and say, hey, I just killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
I help you clean yourself up, get away, do whatever cover up is necessary for you to not get arrested.
Right.
Now I'm an accessory to this murder after the fact. I wasn't there when the murder happened, but I'm an accessory in the actual murder case.
Okay.
So in this case, Ksoo gets arrested. His father gets arrested. His father's facing 30 years because he had a bunch of other priors and so forth. So now his father is actually testifying against his son in this murder case.
Mm-hmm.
And the father's justification is that I didn't do anything. My son is not saying anything, even though he knows I didn't have anything to do with it. Now I'm facing 30 years for something he did, so I got to do what I have to do.
Right.
Very dicey situation. From your point of view, if your son came to you, and you have how many sons?
2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They come to you and say, Dad, I just killed someone. I need some help. Number one, would you help them? And if you got caught, would you testify against them?
Ah, man, there's too many variables there, man. Because then you got to add the fact that I've also got strikes against me. So you're saying, would I give up my life for somebody who, I mean, there's so many circumstances there. I mean, if I've warned this person in the past and they chose to do whatever, the one message is you make you lie in the bed that you made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's so many scenarios there. It's not a cut and dry situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I brought this up with TK Kirkland, and he said that he would testify against his son. He's having to testify against his son who did the murder, who I guess is not saying that his dad had nothing to do with it. So now he's being put in a situation where his own life, he's potentially going to lose his own life in prison because of something his son did. And, people are like, I can't believe the father would testify and so forth. So the father actually went on Instagram and he made a statement. He said, if it was me and my daddy in a situation like this, I would have been freed my daddy a long time ago, no matter what my consequences would have been. No justification needed, especially if he's a good, great daddy. He could do more for me out of jail than in jail or prison. Who leave their daddy in jail to rot, especially when you know he innocent? I would have been stood up and said my daddy ain't got a fucking thing to do with nothing. You people out there that in the free world talk that talk out there until it's time to walk that walk, facing that life sentence.
I agree with him. I would do the same thing if my son had me in a bad situation like that. I wouldn't even think I wouldn't even think twice about it.
I somewhat agreed. It's like, well, I'm supposed to throw my life away over some shit that you just did? Like right. 30 years for me over some shit I wasn't even involved in?
Right.
Because you decided to go off the fucking rails?
Yeah, how if I was in a other situation and my father is going to do 30, I couldn't live with that.
Right.
As the son.
Right. So, but apparently the son is being quiet, which is why the father is having to to step up. It's a very fucked up situation. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll tell you this. Like I had a conversation with someone who's very close to this whole family. And the story I heard, and I can't say where it came from or whatever else, the story I heard was in the O.J. Simpson situation, that it was actually his son that did the murders, and that OJ basically had covered up for him. And that's why OJ never really cooperated, because he knew that his son would get life in prison. You don't believe the story?
God, no.
Really? His son has had mental issues over the years. I guess he had been a chef for a while, so he was used to dealing with cutlery and so forth and knives. You think OJ did it by himself? You think OJ killed? Or do you think he's innocent? I mean, because he was proven not guilty. You could also say that. You think OJ did it himself?
Bruh.
There was no one else involved. He killed his wife and Ron on his own.
So, okay, let me walk through this a little.
Okay.
We want to set up OJ Simpson. We're the greatest setup team.
I'm not saying he's set up.
No. Okay. I'm saying we the cops, we want to set up OJ Simpson. We got to do that. We got to do that. We're going to set up one of the most famous people on the planet. When all while we're murdering these people, somebody could call him at any moment, and he's exonerated. He get on phone. There's a phone record. There's so many things that can happen while we're murdering these people. How many people will we have to have? You got to get the fresh OJ blood to drip in the foyer. You got to.
Okay,
you got to.
I'm not saying the cops set him up.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's look at that he was set up.
Okay.
Because a lot of people want to believe that.
Well, that's
we got to make sure we don't
right?
leave none of our DNA. We got to have the glove. You got to get the Bruno Magli $200 shoe, and we got to step that in the blood. We got. It will take somewhat close to 50 people to be able to do these things successfully. Okay. Because you got to make sure that nobody is walking their dog or coming down the street at the time we're murdered. Yeah. We got to be the best setup team on the planet. We got to have fresh OJ blood, because that stuff dries up. So we got to drip it in the foyer of his house. We got to do so many things. and make sure nobody sees us. Not one hair comes out, and we got to do all of this when one of the most famous guys we know is going to get on the plane within a couple of hours. And if that dude does anything, it's a matter of public record. Would you sign up for that? So his son would have to be a superhero to be able to do all of that on a day when OJ's got to leave and all. If you really just walk down that whole path, not only to mention my manager, Greg Baumgarten, who's been my manager forever, who was the man who O.J. Simpson went golfing with that same day, who was one of O.J. Simpson's best friends.
Hold on. Okay, so your old manager,
my current manager,
your current manager,
yes,
your current manager was golfing with O.J. the double murder happened.
Exactly.
And what did he tell you about O.J.?
My current manager knows what happened.
Okay.
He's one of OJ's best friends. I don't want to go. Let me just tell you, just the idea of the fact that somebody else did that is a result of watching a lot of television over the years and thinking, because this, I really feel this. If somebody deep down wants to believe something, all they have to do is find and stretch for the most fragmented piece of evidence to justify what they feel inside.
O.J. wrote a book called If I Did It. That book is on the internet. In the chapter about the murder, he's mentioning that another person is there. In that chapter, he's not saying who it is, but he's saying another person is there. Listen, is it really that much? Like, I interviewed Boosie, for example. Boosie said that he will not testify against his son if he did a murder. He will not do it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, knowing Boosie the way I know him, who was on death row, facing multiple murders, who managed to beat it, I actually believe that Boosie would do exactly what he said. This is a very dicey kind of situation. You're completely against it, though.
Yeah.
So if your own child came to you and said, Dad, I just killed somebody, I need you to help me.
You gotta understand, Ksoo dad been killing. Like, this nigga been like that. You ain't fucking with this nigga wasn't working at no car shop. Like, they burnt this fucking car shop up. My cousin lost his car in this fucking car shop.
Okay, I don't know the story about the dad. Okay, so his dad was
like the dad ain't no fucking, you think this a camp coach? Ksoo dad is a fucking, like, he like that.
Okay.
Like, he's fucking like that. He been like that.
That's why he's
like, this dude ain't no bitch ass nigga.
Okay.
I ain't have nothing against Ksoo. I knew Ksoo dad from my cousin working a Ksoo dad work on his cars.
Okay.
Like, Ksoo dad been like, he ain't no bitch ass nigga. Ksoo dad ain't no, like, niggas know Ksoo dad in Duval. Like, nigga, like, you led him wrong too. You led him wrong.
There are certain people in this world that will not testify and put their child in prison for the rest of their life. Okay? Is it really out of the range of possibility that OJ actually was protecting his son the whole time?
I think it was ridiculous.
And he was involved in it as well, though. So basically, he knew that he was going down for it. He didn't want to drag his son down with him. No?
I don't believe that for
a
millisecond.
All right. No. But you actually know what happened.
I don't even want to put myself out there, but if this man's best friend, who was with him on the same day,
would you admit a murder to your best friend? I wouldn't.
You don't have to. Your best friend knows.
Okay.
You can say, no, I didn't. Just like, Michael, did you murder someone? Go ahead, ask me.
Michael, did you murder somebody?
No, I didn't. It doesn't matter what I say. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, come on. There's so many things. I could fill up an hour talking about how that doesn't make sense on so many levels. And the fact that if you really want to believe something, you're going to stretch out there and grab it. And if you want to believe that his son did it, you're going to, with all the intelligence you have, you're going to justify the thought of, oh, wait a second, maybe. But yeah, if the prosecution walked down the road of saying that, hey, maybe this is a setup, they would have won. I asked this to Robert Shapiro, and he admitted something to me.
Which is?
Thank goodness that the prosecution did not do that. In so many words, he said it that way. He goes, Robert Kardashian, I'm not Kardashian, Robert Shapiro
Yeah.
was OJ's lawyer.
One of them. Yeah.
Yeah, one of his lawyers who's, no joke, he loves boxing and, he's like a real down-to-earth kind of, very common sense kind of guy. There's things I've been privy to that, folks in the know kind of, in certain ways, they don't wonder, they would not agree that his son might have done it.
Well, look, I saw the documentary about the O.J. Simpson's trial, and they brought a very good point. So, for example, the trial lasted 11 months, right? So when you look at the jury, the type of people that ended up staying on the jury were not professionals and college-educated people with real careers. Like, what type of working man or woman could take 11 months out of their life and have to live in a damn motel room and so forth?
Yeah, bro.
And at the end of the process, you have the conspiracy theorists and the low-income, uneducated, people who believe that everyone's out to get them and so forth. And that's who ultimately decided OJ's fate.
Yeah, because
everyone who had a real job was saying, fuck this trial. I'm out of here. Yes, Your Honor, I went and read something about the trial, so now I can't be in it. Get me the fuck up out of here. I'm going back to work.
Yeah, because that man, he said the N-word. That man said the N-word, which proves, now, if it was a TV show, that'd be all you need, right? And it was a TV show.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, because the man said that, then, because if there's a desire for someone to want to exonerate him, I think OJ's lawyers were really smart, and they knew people.
Mark Fuhrman was a racist. That's established.
Yeah.
Mark Fuhrman didn't like black people. He was a racist. I get it. I think that was an important part of that trial. But did that mean that he had the means to actually set up this whole situation in the way it did? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Nowadays, man, how many times? The setup crew, would have to trust that none of them is going to snitch,
right?
Because if one of them snitched, your life is over.
Yeah, everyone's going to prison
nowadays. Come on, you can't keep nothing secret. Somebody's going to snitch because they get a book deal. So, really, if you walk yourself down it, to me, it's interesting because it just tells how people think and how nowadays, I kind of feel like juries should be educated. What if just for shits and giggles, what if 12 jurors were all lawyers? What if that happened? Well, they'd know all the tricks, but they would also know what the truth is, because they would understand the strategy of each lawyer. They go, yeah, he's got to do that because this and that and whatever. But this person did it. So maybe they then vote their conscience on what's right or wrong instead of what got seeped through the cracks of the law. Interesting, just a thought. But what if jurors were educated and know the tricks? Because from the time we've had juries till now, you've had lawyers who have studied regular folks and how to manipulate that jury.
Oh yeah.
So it's not fair.
No, look, when you talk about these high profile trials, and it was interesting, right? Because I remember when it happened, I talked to my mother, who was working for the government at the time, right? And I said, "What do you think of the OJ trial?" And she was like, "Well, they OJ's dream team beat a bunch of government employees.
Yep.
And I'm a government employee. I understand the level of skill in my coworkers compared to
Yeah.
who OJ put together. When you talk about juries, when you talk about these big dollar, wealthy trials, they have jury specialists.
Yes, absolutely.
That's not even a lawyer. That's just someone on the team that sits there and is analyzing every potential jury member and saying, get this person out of here. They're going to vote against us.
Exactly.
No, keep this person. Do whatever it takes to keep this. That person, do you see the way they move their hand? That meant that they're sympathize and
Yep.
The prosecution doesn't have that.
Not at all.
It's a government employee. Chris Darden went on to pretty much do nothing, after, as well as Marsha Clark.
And
neither one of them became established career-wise after that.
Yeah, and what personalities do they have in comparison to Johnny Cochran?
Yeah.
Johnny
Cochran is
Johnny
Cochran is a
the
showman.
rhyming thing. You know what I mean?
If it don't fit, you must acquit.
When that happened, I'm like, oh hell. To me, that would have worked on the opposite for me. I'm like, this man
If it does fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, I'm like, and then OJ goes, like, what? I'm an actor. I know that. Like, here's a dry ass glove, right? You got a dry hand, and you can't get it. I'm like, they're buying this. They're buying this.
There was more to it. Actually, if you watch the documentary, apparently
he had a rubber glove on underneath, didn't he?
Well, and he had some sort of medical condition that was causing his hands to swell up, and he was not taking the medication on purpose.
There's a lot. You can give me
there.
a catcher's mitt, and I can act like I can't get the damn thing on. I mean, come on, it's entertaining. But I'm like,
and
man,
there's really a basic rule in being a lawyer, and I've interviewed a number of very high end lawyers, and that is that you never ask a question
that you don't know the answer to.
Right, so the fact that they had him try on the glove, not knowing whether it'll fit or not,
right.
The prosecutor really dropped the ball on that one.
It doesn't matter because they showed a picture of OJ in the stands at a football game with gloves that fit right here. Didn't matter. It didn't matter. If you're the congregation, you can see a video of your minister like conducting the said act, and you still in your mind are going to exonerate him. They had the picture of OJ with ill-fitting gloves. Didn't matter. Because that's because you're playing the personalities, man. Yeah. These people were professional. I mean, it's fascinating when you look at it, but it comes down to like just human nature. If you study human nature, you can make that work for you.
Well, speaking of trials, Eric Holder was recently found guilty of killing Nipsey Hussle. We both live in LA. I've interviewed Nipsey before. Have you ever met him before?
No.
But it was a big deal in LA. You saw what happened. The Staples Center was filled up.
Yes.
Just really, there was a whole lot of mourning that was happening in LA. When you look at that trial, what did you think? And ultimately, how did you feel when Eric Holder was found guilty?
I didn't look at the trial. I'm sorry, I didn't know who Nipsey Hussle was until he passed away. I'm old. I didn't know. But I was really impressed by what I learned about the brother and what he was doing. How he was trying to bring up the community that way. Yeah, man, it was a sad story, but I didn't follow it. I didn't follow the Eric Holder thing. I felt like I knew enough.
Well, we interviewed this guy, Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a close friend to
Right.
Nipsey Hussle. He had been with Nipsey Hussle the whole time. He's the one that kind of brought him into the role in 60s Crips and everything else like that. And he was standing next to Nipsey when the whole thing happened. He said that Eric Holder walked up to them, and they knew the guy already. And when they were walking up, Nipsey said, "Oh, I wonder how this is going to turn out." And essentially when he walked up, what Nipsey said was like, hey man, I heard that there's some paperwork out on you. You know, I haven't seen it myself, but you know, you should get it looked into. You know, a lot of people took it as Nipsey called him a snitch. You know, Cowboy didn't feel it was that type of conversation. Thought it was friendly. They shook hands afterwards. Eric went and got some food, went back to his car. And then, you know, Cowboy went into the store. Eric came back and killed him. And Cowboy, who was a Rolling 60s Crip himself, he took the stand to tell everyone about the conversation that happened. And ultimately, Eric Holder was found guilty, but he got a lot of flack. A lot of people were calling him a snitch and everything else like that because he took the stand in this trial.
I always been on the criminal. I always been the criminal. I'm always the nigga on the court, but that was a foul ball that you did right there. You know, I ain't never rooted for no prosecution. I ain't never did no shit like that. But, you know, motherfuckers look at me getting on the stand like, y'all blowing this up worse than what this nigga did. Goddamn, what I did is worse than what this nigga did. Goddamn, that let me know it's a whole lot of hate out here.
Now, the world you come from, is there a similar type of thing where you just never take the stand in any type of situation, no matter what, or else you're cooperating with the police, even if it's for your friend who got killed?
I think that the difference between the world I come from and what's going on now is, I don't know how to say it, is just freaking ignorance is what it is. That, I mean, it's never been more apropos, been more trendy to be stupid as hell. I can say that, you know, confidently, because stupid people are too stupid to know I'm talking about them. But it's like there could be a room full of smart people, but it seems to be led by the stupidest person in the room. If the stupidest person got something, oh, he a snitch. The other, yeah, he a snitch. It's like they don't even have the capacity to discern what it is. So, you know, if you got somebody just pretty stupid that's just going to have a knee-jerk response, that person gets written up. What that person has to say gets the headline. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the difference nowadays. Because, again, let's examine the stupid. You've been stupid for a long time. So you feel like your words, you know, you've been shunned. So you find that now you can say something and you found your whole stupid community.
Right.
And they're going to blast what you say. And you're going to lead the narrative.
Right.
Even though, like, there's 90% of the room or the population who doesn't agree with you.
Right. Well, because, I mean, the story runs a little deeper. So, for example, when you look at the trial as a whole, there's another guy who got shot. There's a guy named Kerry Lathan who had just got out of prison after doing like 30 years. He was, you know, had some sort of prior gang affiliation and so forth. He was forced to take the stand. Now, he got shot. Basically, he was just there. He was with his cousin that day. They're like, oh, you know, let's step by Nipsey's shop and maybe get some shirts. Mm-hmm. He goes over there and suddenly this happens and he gets shot, like I think in the leg or something. Mm-hmm. So he's forced to take the stand. And when he takes the stand, he says, he basically just does not cooperate. Mm-hmm. He said, is this you in the video? He goes, I don't know.
Right.
He goes, is this what happened? I'm not sure.
Right.
Can you identify this person? No.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically was just like, are you going to, so he basically was not cooperating.
Because there's a lot of stupid people out there that are going to call him a snitch.
He purposely didn't cooperate. Another guy, named Rimpao, who was actually really close to Nipsey, who was a pallbearer at his funeral, refused to even show up.
Right.
They actually put a $500,000 bench warrant for his arrest. Mm-hmm. And he still didn't show up. They ultimately just dropped it at the end of the day because they're like, forget it. We're just not going to arrest this guy for not showing up. But here he is. Your close friend just got killed by this idiot for no reason.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get on the stand and potentially risk this guy getting a lesser charge.
Yeah.
Because the lawyers were arguing, like the defense, you know, he was a public defender, but he was arguing that it's a crime of passion. He's got mental illness. He was doing electroshock therapy the week before. And, you know, he was just so delusional that it wasn't a premeditated murder. Ultimately, he got convicted of first-degree murder, but there was a chance along the way that he could have gotten manslaughter or something of that sort, and maybe got out in 10 years or something of that sort. And Nipsey's people were not cooperating. This is the only guy, Cowboy, who actually got on the stand and said, no, I don't give a fuck if whatever y'all say.
Because there's a community of stupidity. The stupidest guy of a crew who says, you snitched. Pow. He snitched. Yeah, he snitched. That's a possibility because people don't, okay, soapbox time or whatever. Well, it's just the litany of stupidity that happens is that, you know, they look up to gangsters who had a reason for shooting someone. But the next generation, all they register is he shot somebody and got street cred. Mm-hmm. So you got the stupidest of the group that wants a excuse to shoot somebody. Ooh, sound like a snitch to me? Pow.
Yeah.
That exists. People are like, they're so jacked up now, the social media and everything else. The stupidest person finds a voice. Again, I feel safe because nobody who's stupid thinks I'm talking about them right now. Right? It's not like somebody's going to go, well, I'm stupid. I resent what you're saying. That's not going to happen. So I'm pretty safe.
You're safe.
You know what I mean? But it's now that disenfranchised person who normally would have said, you know, the group would have told them, shut up. You ain't making no sense. Oh, maybe I ain't making no sense. Maybe I need to work on myself. But now that person can find his own stupid community. Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? So, but now it's dangerous because now you got somebody who just want to shoot somebody because they're not that bright and they get those accolades. They get to be the big man because they shot somebody, but they need some kind of excuse to do it. Who knows if Eric Holder is not who I'm talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he clearly shot somebody of note and we're talking about him right now. Mm-hmm. And mind you, there's somebody out there right now going, yeah, Eric Holder shot that dude. Maybe I could do it. That's what's dangerous to me. That's what's different between, I feel like I come from a generation where we checked people. You know what I mean? We checked them and, you know, even if somebody, a part of our group, we're responsible for that person. It's not that way nowadays. You know what I mean? So you've got these people who are spending time, in my opinion, playing Call of Duty. I'm shooting this person. But, you know, us people who are a little bit more balanced, that's not going to get in our psyche the same way. But somebody who's already susceptible is playing that same game and they're extracting something different. Now they're thinking about, I want to do this.
Well, I recently interviewed Terrence Gangster Williams. He's Birdman's half-brother. Birdman from Cash Money. Mm-hmm. And he got life plus 20 years. Right? Mm. There was like a murder for hire plot. There was all types of shootings and everything that he was involved in and so forth. So he's doing his prison time. He's like, 20 years into his sentence. And he decides to cooperate against two of his friends who are already dead on a number of murders that he knows that they did. Mm. When he gets out after like 27 and a half years. Birdman no longer wants to deal with him because he believes that he snitched, even though who he told on were dead. And Birdman's justification was that we all sat at this table and you made the rules right along with us. You chose to break those rules. Mm. You know, I'm not going to try to do you any harm or anything, but I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to take you under my wing and, you know, travel around with you and so forth because I don't approve of what you did. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, I mean, number one, I've never been in that type of situation, but I feel it's a whole lot easier to stand on certain morals and guidelines when you're a billionaire and flying around in private planes and driving Bugattis, as opposed to your 2 decades in a prison cell surrounded by men hoping not to get stabbed that day. Mm-hmm. But these rules and regulations are very deep, and I mean, honestly, they're all imaginary. Right? All these rules of no snitching, no this.
True.
I mean, me personally, like if one of my family members wants to say I killed someone after I'm dead, even if I didn't do it, go ahead. I don't care. Like I'm dead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and snitch on me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But to certain people, it's considered a no-no even on a dead person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I think it comes around to what I was saying before. If there's something deeply that you want to believe and you find an excuse to do what's in your heart, you're going to reach for that excuse.
Right.
That's really, I think it sums it up. And so, like, in our political environment, if there are racists that want to believe something and this demagogue can tell me, you give me an excuse to believe what I want to believe, I'm going to reach for it because nobody's giving me that opportunity. And it works on both sides. But it's just like, more and more, I find that people, they want to like be in that community that supports their thoughts. And nowadays with the social media, you can find that community.
You could find that bubble of ignorance, no matter what stupid idea you bring up. And I remember I was talking to someone about this the other day, like, it really amazes me what Donald Trump has pulled off, where he gets caught in a lie and then he just pretty much either doubles down on the lie or just goes on to a different subject and doesn't even address the lie. Like, he said that Elon Musk told me that he voted for me. And then Elon Musk said that's just not true.
Yeah, so
and then he's like, Elon Musk was a failure and he would have got on his knees to save his failing company. And it's like, I mean, look, after watching Donald Trump, I really wondered why I've been telling the truth all these years. It would just be easier for me to just lie my way through life like he's been doing.
I blame Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
It wasn't me?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't
so
me.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, and Shaggy, but they both, Donald Trump and Shaggy was like, I could do something with this.
I could do something with this.
Yeah, I could do something with this. Just don't apologize. Say it wasn't you. And, everything will right itself.
Michael Jai White, man, always a pleasure. Whenever you come in, you got a bunch of movies in the works.
Yeah.
I looked at your IMDb page and like, God damn, there's so much stuff that isn't even out yet. Crossroads Cafe, Scream Before You Die, MR9, Dead Zone, The Hit, You're Not Alone, Come Out Fighting, Nogales,
which got changed to As Good as Dead.
Okay. Snowy Day in Oakland. And of course, the outlaw Johnny Black. Snowy Day in Oakland, you're not. No,
I don't know nothing about that.
Nothing about that?
Yeah,
that's not an NDA thing. You actually don't know anything about that.
No, I honestly don't. I've never heard that before.
Never heard of that. Okay, well, it's listed on your IMDb page.
Yeah, okay.
You play Reverend Carter, according to this.
Oh, shit. Oh, that one got, okay, that used to be called something else. So yeah, I am in that.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you said Reverend Carter, yeah, I know it used to be called Head Shops. It was called Head Shops. Now it's A Snowy Day in Oakland?
A Snowy Day in Oakland.
Oh, hell.
It's in post-production.
I learn things when I come here.
There you go.
Yeah.
And of course, my favorite, the outlaw Johnny Black, which is going to have a theatrical release from what I understand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cannot wait.
Yep. It's a follow-up to Black Dynamite.
Yes.
The whole family could come see this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is there a Black Dynamite 2 in the works, in the talks? No, nothing. No pre-production, no nothing.
Hey, that is a complicated scenario.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
When someone asks you your relationship status, it's complicated.
Yeah.
That's what it is, Michael Jai White. Until next time.
All right.
Peace.